The gentleman yields. I now recognize the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Payne, for his 5 minutes questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, just for informational purposes, there are Americans on the terror watch list as well. So, I would suggest we take in all the information with respect to that. I want to thank the witnesses for making themselves available today. Director Wray, in 2021, more than 26,000 Americans lost their lives by homicide, close to 21,000 of which were committed with a firearm. The same year, 61 of 73 law enforcement officers who died from felonious assault were killed by firearms. While we're seeing more states, specifically reliably Republican voting states, adopt more permissive gun laws, we're also seeing a rise in anti-government violent extremists targeting law enforcement. How dangerous is it to be in law enforcement right now under these circumstances? And how do we rectify the threat to the men and women of law enforcement?
Well, certainly, this is a dangerous time for law enforcement. As you mentioned, 2021 was the deadliest year for law enforcement, I think, since 9/11. And this year, the pace is awfully close to what 2021 is. And I say that with a level of personal familiarity with it. In 2021, we had 2 of our agents killed in Florida attempting to execute a search related to a child exploitation case, and a task force officer of ours in Indiana gunned down right outside of our offices. And every time, one of the things I decided I was going to do when I took this job now 6.5 years ago was every time an officer is shot and killed in the line of duty anywhere in the country, I call the chief or the sheriff myself and talk to him and express my condolences on behalf of the FBI. I have a little write-up on the family, a photo of the fallen officer, and I've made something like 350 of those calls. And, being in law enforcement is dangerous enough. What it shouldn't be is wearing a badge making you a target, and we're seeing way too much of that in today's America.
Let's see. Can you explain why 60% of guns used in violent crimes in New Jersey, the state I represent and have lived in all my life, come from Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida? What do those states have in common that make them dangerous exporters of criminal firearms?
I'm not sure I could speak to the specific circumstances of each of those states. Certainly, straw purchases and gun trafficking is an ingredient that drives the violent crime problem that we have in this country. It's one of many things that drives that problem.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to yield the final minute of my time to Mr. Goldman.